welcome to the Family Fudge. Today I'm super excited to be sharing with you 5 different one-pot dinners that even my picky eaters love. All of these meals are budget friendly and only cost about $10 each. I love these recipes because they can all be made in 30 minutes or less. And because all of these dinners are made in just one pot, that's going to mean a lot less dishes to wash at the end of the day. Now, I hope you enjoy this video. Like and subscribe if you do. And with all that being said, let's get on to the dinners. I'm kicking things off with a one-pot creamy beef stroganoff. This recipe comes together so quickly, so I'm going to get all of my chopping done first. Now, I do have a couple of picky eaters in my family, so I'm using my handy dandy chopper here to quickly get all of the mushrooms and onions cut into really small pieces. To my large pot, I've already added 1 pound of ground beef, and to this, I'm adding the mushrooms and the onions and plenty of seasonings, so salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Now I'm cooking this all together and I'm breaking up the meat as I go. I'm going to cook this for about 10 minutes or so, or until the veggies are nice and soft. Next, I'm going to add this entire carton of beef broth. That's about 4 cups. Next comes the evaporated milk. I'm using this entire can. This is really going to help create a creamy, delicious sauce. Just make sure you're using a can of evaporated milk and not sweetened condensed milk. They're not the same thing. And now finally, it's time for the egg noodles. Don't worry if not all of the noodles are covered at first. They will be in just a minute. Now I'm going to stir this all together and cook for about 8 minutes or until the noodles are tender and most of the liquid is absorbed. Now, as this is cooking, I'm making sure to frequently stir the noodles. That way they don't stick to the bottom of my pot. At this point, I've taken my pot off of the heat and I'm going to stir in 8 ounces of sour cream. Now, if you want to be fancy, you can definitely sprinkle on some chopped parsley, but it's completely optional. Now, you guys, I love this recipe so much. It's definitely a classic in our house. It's so creamy and flavorful, and it makes the best leftovers the next day. Next up, I'm making a garlic Parmesan Fettucine. To my large pot, I'm adding 4 tablespoons of butter, followed by about 4 cloves of crushed garlic. And I'm using the pre-chopped stuff to make it easy, but if you really love garlic, you can definitely add more than this. Next, I'm adding 4 cups of chicken broth, followed by 2 cups of milk, then this entire 1 pound box of fettuccine. Now, this is the part where you kind of have to be patient. As the fettuccine is softening, I'm just pressing it down into the pot. And once it is completely in the pot, it's time to season it up with some salt and pepper to taste. Once everything has come to a boil, I'm going to cook this for about 18 minutes, stirring occasionally until the pasta is tender. Next, I'm going to stir in about 2 cups of Parmesan cheese. Now, if your mixture is a little bit too thick, you can add a little bit more milk to help thin it out. And at this point, what I like to do is take some of this out just as is for a couple of my picky eaters. And then to the rest, what I really like to do is add in some shredded rotisserie chicken. Rotisserie chickens are such a quick and easy protein that you can add to just about any dinner. Now, you guys, this one pot recipe is so delicious, especially if you are a fan of garlic Alfredo. It's truly quick and easy to put together, which makes it perfect for a busy weeknight. Next up, I'm making a 1 pot 10-minute beef and broccoli. And this one comes together so quickly, especially if you have about 3 to 4 cups of leftover rice. This is the perfect way to use it up. To my large pot, I'm going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil. Then to this, I'm adding in just 1 pound of ground beef. While this is cooking, I'm going to steam up my frozen broccoli. Now you could use regular frozen broccoli florets, but because I have a couple of picky eaters, like I said, I'm using this frozen riced broccoli instead. That way when I mix it in with the actual rice, it's going to totally blend in and some of my kids won't even notice it's in here. Now at this point, I'm going to add in some salt, some pepper, and plenty of garlic powder, followed by some chopped green onion. This is an entire bunch that I just chopped up really well. Once I have that all mixed together, I can go ahead and add in that cooked rice, followed by 1 cup of a thick teriyaki sauce. Now, of course, you can use whatever bottled teriyaki sauce is your favorite. This is definitely going to be a big time saver to buy it already ready to go. And for this recipe, I'm going to be giving this one a try. It's a sugar-free version. Now I'm just going to stir everything together until the rice is heated all the way through. And then at that point, I can add in the steamed broccoli. Now you guys, this beef and broccoli is so quick and easy, but it's also delicious and comforting. I love a big bowl of this at the end of the day. This is definitely budget friendly as well with all of the rice in it. But if you wanted to make it lower carb, you could definitely swap out the white rice for riced cauliflower instead. Next up, I'm getting started on a 1-pot cheesy chili with macaroni. For this, I'm going to start by chopping up 1 onion. Then to my large pot, I'm adding in some olive oil, about 4 cloves of crushed garlic, and then that entire chopped onion. Now I'm going to stir this around and let it cook for about 1 minute or so, and then I'm adding in my ground beef. As this is cooking, I'm going to break up the meat and then cook it until it's no longer pink. Now I'm using a very lean beef, but if you're not, you might want to go ahead and drain out the excess grease at this point. To this, I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken broth, 1 can of diced tomatoes with the juices, and then I'm adding in the beans, 1 can of white kidney beans and 1 can of red kidney beans, and I did already drain them. To season this up, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and some salt and pepper. Now I'm going to mix this all together and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. At this point, I can go ahead and add in 1 pound of pasta. I really like these corkscrew ones, but you can really use any kind of pasta you like. I'm going to mix this all together, pop on the lid, and let this cook for about 12 minutes or until the pasta is tender. While that's cooking, I'm going to shred up about 2 cups of sharp cheddar cheese. When the pasta is done, I'll sprinkle the cheese all over the top, followed by some parsley. Then I'm going to add the lid back on for just a few minutes so that cheese can get nice and melty. This speedy dinner has so much classic chili flavor without being too spicy, so I know my kids will really appreciate that. This recipe is also really customizable, so if you want this to be thicker like chili, add less broth, but if you like it to be more soupy, you can just add a little bit more broth. It's totally up to you. Next up is a dinner that my kids ask for over and over, and it's so easy. This is one that I call double cheese and sausage rigatoni. Now for this one, I'm going to start by bringing some water to a boil, and then I'm going to cook 1 pound of rigatoni. When the pasta is done, I can go ahead and drain it, and then I'll set it aside. Now to my same pot, I'm going to go ahead and brown up the meat. And you guys, I really recommend using 1 pound of sausage for this. It really adds such good flavor to this recipe, but right now all I have is ground turkey, so that's what I'm going to use. As this is cooking, I'm going to break it up a little bit. Then I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, followed by salt and pepper. Now at this point, I'm going to be adding cheese number 1, which is just a block of cream cheese. And to help this really mix in, I'm also adding in 1 cup of milk. Now this takes a couple of minutes to work it in all the way, but at this point I am ready for cheese number 2, which is going to be 2 cups of sharp cheddar cheese that I've already shredded. And check it out, you guys, this is so ooey and gooey and cheesy. At this point I can go ahead and add back in the rigatoni and then mix all of it together. This recipe only has a few ingredients, but it is so good, especially if you use sausage. The 2 cheeses in here really help to make this recipe super creamy and delightful. Okay guys, I hope you found a recipe today that you'd like to try for yourself. I have lots more easy, budget-friendly recipes on this channel. Definitely go check those out. I will link them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.